I'm back.
Oh, yeah. You know why we're here. It's time for Boost, Booze, and Barbecue. It has been a long week, Coy. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but it's been a long one.
Been a long one?
Yeah.
I had a long weekend. The week, not so much. The weekend so far been long.
What did you do?
I went to all unit search and rescue training, and it was kind of they had a bunch of tasks set up for us to do, and we kind of picked what we wanted. And I said I feel like I could do like 4 miles of snowshoeing, preferably level ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was handed the wrong tasking order, and I did like 7 miles of snowshoeing, not level ground.
Yikes.
Yeah, it sucked a lot.
So you were not supposed to be hiking that area?
No, it was a tasking. I could have if I wanted to. I didn't want to. And then like I started hiking it. It's kind of complicated to explain it all, but I started reading the instructions. I was like, this is not what we had intended. And I was like, at that point, I was like, let's just go. This is what we got. We'll do this tasking order. And so I hiked 7 miles instead of 4. And then
so mistakes were made.
There were like hills and things.
Nice.
It was awesome, but I imagine like when you see those movies, like a damaged space cruiser, and there's like flame off of it and holes and a couple bodies trailing behind it. That's what my body feels like right now. Like I'm just kind of rolling in. There's hole breaches and stuff. Life support's critical.
So you're not feeling too bad about trying our booze of the day?
No, I should have been trying it like, I don't know, not too much before noon, just like 9:30 this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
It could have gone in your coffee. This is quite good in coffee. This is the Bushmills Red Bush. It's an Irish whiskey that's aged and finished in bourbon barrels.
And you've had this before?
Oh, yes, many times.
Tell me what to expect. I've never had it.
Well, it's an Irish whiskey with a hint of bourbon.
So it's sweet.
No, it is. It's less earthy, in my opinion, than Irish whiskey tends to be. It's a little bit sweeter. It's got more of the vanilla and the caramel and the toasted notes. I don't think it's quite as, like I said, just earthy. It's an Irish whiskey, so I'm not going to call it peaty, but there's definitely something that the Irish whiskeys have in common with the Scotch whiskeys where they just...
kind of like a vanilla caramel jet fuel.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully less on the jet fuel. I honestly have no idea whether or not this is, made as it should be. It's got a little bit of that green tint, and we talk about that once in a while. When there's just that hint of green through the whiskey, that tends to mean that there's not a lot of caramel color in it, which is good.
It's less when you said less earthy, I get that. It's I've watered it down a little bit with this big ice cube, and it was room temperature. I meant to get into it a little sooner than I did, but no, this is pretty decent.
Yeah, surprisingly good, right?
I'm actually used to a little bit more flavor out of the whiskey you give me. I don't think I've ever said that before, like that I feel like there's not as much flavor as I'm used to.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not used to hearing that from you either. It's
weird for me to say it, but yeah, no, maybe all your insane whiskeys is starting to like change my palate.
I'm good.
Assuming.
It's taken long enough.
Yeah, no, I'm like, wow, it's a little bland. I don't know.
Lord knows I've been trying for a while.
Oh, years, actually, yeah.
And actually, we got to have an extra one for our special guest tonight. It's going to be calling in a little bit later on. Ethan goes by Ethan Dsquad on the Facebook. Got his Integra stolen and led the police on a high pursuit.
I followed that on Facebook a little bit. I feel for this dude.
I do too.
I've had a car stolen before. Not as nice a one as his.
You've both had a car stolen, and you've had a fast Honda.
Yeah, my fast Honda wasn't the one stolen. But
no,
still, yeah,
yeah, but like to combine those.
The thing that sucks, that almost been more satisfying for mine just ended up found in the mountains, destroyed.
Yeah.
So I had no car and it was ruined. Anyways, start there before this sounds too mean towards Ethan. At least Ethan got the satisfying part of knowing his car was fast and could run from cops. You know, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, that's don't get me wrong, it sucks, but you're like, it is a fast car. He did outrun those cops for quite a while. Like, you get a little bit of that. You're like, just what if I'd been driving? This dude's probably a crackhead.
That's,
you know?
Yes, that is the one thing I keep saying. And Ethan's going to get into it. He's going to tell us all about, you know, what he did to the car, and I don't know how it all went down. The hard part is, you know, Hondas of that time period, they were easy to steal. You know what I mean? The bump key thing, the worn down key.
What year was his Integra?
I believe it's a 94. He's going to tell us, though.
I thought it was a newer one. I thought it was like a RSX, actually.
No.
Oh, it was a 94.
Mm-hmm.
And it was K-swap?
No, not a K-swap. I believe he's got a B18B, or had a B18B.
Oh, crazy. So it's actually a similar build to mine. The thing is when it's totally munched and piled up in the pictures, sometimes it's a little hard to just, as you're scrolling through Facebook, see exactly what it was. But
right.
That sucks a lot. Yeah, no, those were notoriously easy to steal. And I think second only to Jeep Cherokees in the most stolen vehicle department.
Really?
Jeep Cherokee was the other one that was just constantly stolen.
I wonder if that's just because, well, you know, the tumbler wears down, or the key wears down, or there's a lot of stuff there, you know. I can't remember if it was you or another one of my friends had a worn down Honda key, and he could open other Hondas about half of the time.
That was actually kind of a local tuner. I know exactly what you're talking about. He had 5 or 6 worn down keys, and he could open 90% of Hondas.
Right.
Like, he'd just be like, no, let me try my keys. Boom, unlock your door. Like,
yeah.
He just narrowed it down to like these 5 or 6 worn out keys.
And for whatever reason, they wore themselves down into a pattern where they were just kind of one size fits all. You know, they became like a bump key.
Yeah. No, he just jiggle, 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 boom, and it unlocked. Not all of them would start the car, but he could unlock almost all Hondas.
Right. And then it's just a matter of getting your Phillips or your flathead screwdriver, and, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. We were actually we just came back from a friend of ours' house. We were having dinner over there. The dinner was fantastic. As a matter of fact, some of the longtime listeners of Booze, Booze, and Barbecue are going to remember him. It's Wine Guy Chris.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he made some fantastic pork chops and like grilled veggies and stuff. Oh, it was super good. But his fiancée, Sarah, was telling me about how she, once upon a time, many, many years ago, was on a first date with a guy that was driving a Honda CRX. And they were cruising the Gut in Salem. Do you remember doing that?
Oh, yeah.
That was quite the thing.
We'll get into gut stories. We'll do a full episode on cruises and gut stories sometimes.
We should.
There's a lot to get in there.
We should do that. And this one's by no means going to surprise you, by the way. So apparently they were on their first date, and he wanted to go cruise the Gut. And this is, she's a teenager at this point. And so, we're going to go and do whatever, just hanging out, right?
Oh, that's a hot item. Like, that was actually funner than a lot of things. Like,
oh, yes.
When it was popping, there was a weird spot in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And I know throughout different periods of times, every town has this, everybody calls it the Gut, where it's just like a loop you drive. And inevitably there's street races, you pull over, you meet people. Like, I know people have met plenty of wives and stuff at the Gut. And I know, like, in Salem, the town local to us, there used to be a Gut years ago that, like, my parents' age people talk about, but it was a completely different area, a whole different spot, and a whole different thing going on. But yeah, it's right now it's kind of on it's at a low, but I imagine it's going to come back at some point, and it'll probably move to a different part of town. But yeah,
I'm sure it will. Back when we were doing it is the same time when Sarah went and did it the one time with this guy, so downtown. But apparently this guy's CRX was very done up, and so people would always come and like stand around it and check it out, right? And so at a certain point, a guy says, "Hey, man, can I check out your stereo?" And he goes, "Yeah, go ahead." So the guy jumps in, and then a girl walked around the other side and got in, and, nobody was really paying attention. He was getting all this attention from people, right? All of a sudden, the doors close, and the thing starts up and drives away. And he's just left standing there like, does anybody know who those people were? And nobody knew who they were. And that was that.
And it was gone.
And that was her first and last date with that guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to give the girl the right attention for a second date if my car got stolen in the middle of it.
Yeah,
You know
probably
what I mean?
not. I'm not even sure I'd want to go on a second date. Like that's bad karma.
Yeah, no, yeah, she's a black crow. You know what I mean? She's a bad omen.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a freaking dead albatross hanging up on the mast there. Like, yeah.
I love Sarah's a great person, but I have a feeling that dude called her like you said, the black omen. You know?
Yeah, he literally can't think about her without crying.
Yeah,
not because of her though.
Right,
you know?
exactly. Oh, my ex. You mean Damien?
Oh, the one that came in, my car got stolen and then disappeared from my life forever, like my car.
Hey, speaking of disappeared forever, are we missing somebody?
Oh, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Jake much this week, to be honest. But I reached out to him yesterday, and just kind of checking in, like, hey man, what's up? What's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
And he sent me a video and just said, I'm so sorry, I cannot believe this, but I am not gonna make it this week. And then there's this video, and apparently him and his buddies were learning how to make potato guns, and they were inside what I can only assume is his mom's garage.
Mm-hmm.
And you and me, we built a ton of potato guns growing up.
We did.
And like, I don't know if this generation of people realize what you can do with a potato gun. We're talking, you can launch a vegetable football field.
Oh, easily, yeah.
They were loading apples, what appeared to be apples. I mean, it was a phone video, so it wasn't perfect. And they fired it off in the garage, and Jake was standing beside the guy firing it. That thing hit the garage door, came back at him, blasted him right in the teeth, right in the yapper, and all on video. And he's just like, my face is messed up.
Man, what?
So, and I tried to call him, and he texted back and was like, I literally am having a hard time talking, and I don't have a ton more info than that, but it sounds like he was going to the dentist today.
Wow. On a Sunday.
Yeah, that was like an emergency.
Yeah, emergency oral surgery.
Well, I didn't get into that part, like what all was going on, but like he needed to go see a dentist. So I don't know if he just wanted to make sure his teeth weren't all dead or something got broke out or exactly what, but yeah. So PSA, potato cans can be dangerous.
I'm honestly surprised it didn't go through the garage door. I mean, what dumb luck.
I think it was because it was an apple, to be honest. If it was a potato, I think he would have broke the garage door. And I mean, it just proves that Apple Day doesn't necessarily keep the doctor away.
Truer words were...
Yeah.
I've never heard anything so true in my life.
Sometimes an apple can knock all your teeth out.
Wow. You know, this might be partially my fault because, you know, he was telling me about the potato gun, and I was telling him, why don't you try loading it with a tennis ball? Because you remember how far the tennis balls used to go.
I can't imagine shooting a tennis ball indoors. Like, everybody's tested a potato gun in a garage or shop at some point.
Yeah.
But a tennis ball? Like, that's...
I didn't know he was going to try it in his mom's garage.
Wow. You live in town. What else are you going to do? Just fire it and listen for car alarms?
Well, that's a good point.
I mean, no, I've done that. But I mean...
I don't know. You know, Jake, he just... real good guy. I mean, people can see he has been posting so much on the Facebook page, clearly because, you know, he's just bored. He can't get out.
And can't talk.
Right.
Apparently.
Wow. Well, we wish him a speedy recovery, Coy.
Yeah, I didn't sound like he was too injured, but it sounded like maybe he needs a crown or something. Bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Lobotomy after this. Well, so we're doing a little bit of Honda talk today, by the way. Some of my favorite race cars have been Hondas. You know that?
Mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple.
You've had a couple of real fast Hondas.
Fast enough, yeah.
As a matter of fact, it brings me to the question of the day. Coy, is your phone on, by the way?
It is, yeah. Sorry.
There we go. So it brings me to my question of the day. And I want you guys to go ahead and jump on this when you are commenting below. I want to know what the first American campaigned Honda race car was. And do you remember what it was, Coy?
I actually kind of knew it. I knew half of it off the top of my head. But I'm assuming you don't want me to answer this question.
No, we'll let people answer it. Here's a little hint for you guys. It's called the Tokyo Joe. So we will be getting into that a little bit later on. You're not showing them yet, are you? Producer Nick, okay, he's not giving it away.
Okay.
So yeah, comment that below. Win yourself a free T-shirt. And congratulations to Matt Oram, I think is who you picked last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt.
Matt Oram or Oram. Orimi. I'm not sure how you say your name.
Orim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a free T-shirt, brah.
Yeah, we're going to send you out a free T-shirt. And so we'll contact him. And don't forget, you guys, be answering that question. It's worthwhile. You get a free T-shirt sent out to you from us. So go ahead and hit that up. I think first thing up on our Honda agenda was, Coy, did you see that new record was broken?
I had not seen this, but I've been seeing crazy stuff like this. Is this on the green screen right now?
We're gonna pull it up here so people can see it.
We're gonna pop this up behind us if you're on the live stream. For those who aren't, this is a white Acura Integra Type R,
or like a real Type R.
Yeah, no, legit Type R. I'm guessing this is what, a 90.
I think it's a 97.
Yeah, okay. And championship white. And I believe, just off the top of my head, it's hard, but I'm thinking it's sub 3,000. Like 2,100 of these were produced in this color. It's not a lot, so it is a rare car, but it is still an Integra.
And slightly over 6,000 miles on this.
Which is like somebody bought that and just parked it.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Somebody was deeply in love with Type R's or something. I'm not sure. And appears to be bone stock.
Which I don't think it would hold the value if it weren't bone stock.
No, that's part of. I mean, that's a good thing in this scenario.
So big reveal.
72. $82,000. Okay.
On Bring a Trailer.
Woo.
See, normally I could see like on a Mecum or a Barrett Jackson, like you remember the one that sold at Barrett Jackson was for $63,000. And, you know, part of that is just you get caught up in the moment, you know, and you end up bidding this thing up maybe higher than you should because you're in it, you're feeling it, you know. But Bring a Trailer is just an online auction site.
You know, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. So I've seen several like low mileage CRS 2000s go in the 70s, which blows my mind because they're not old enough to be any kind of collector nostalgic really. In my point, whereas the Type R's, those are deep nostalgia for a lot of guys. Now maybe not a guy, maybe from like 40 to late 20s right now. But I mean, there's got to be 40-year-olds out there that have millions of dollars that don't want a Bugatti. You know what I mean? They want a Type R. That's what they wanted because that was cool when they were a kid. And I mean...
Well, let me break this down for you real quick. Imagine you've made your money, okay? I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you were a techie or something like that, but you've got some money to burn, right? And you're a car guy. You've never lost that flame. You're a techie. You've built your business, but you're still a car guy. You've got a few cars. You've got a few collector's cars. You were way into cars. You read Super Street and Modified and Sport Compact Car like you and I did, right?
Yeah.
Something like this comes up for auction, and you're like, I've got the money to burn. I want this car.
Chump change. Yeah. Like, how low mileage? I want that, and I have to have it done. Like, it's not that. It's insane, but it's not that insane.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to happen more and more often.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Have we seen it with the NSXs yet?
NSX has never really dropped in price that much.
Well, that's a good point.
I mean, I have noticed that guys are importing more and more NSXs because we're starting to get deeper into that 25-year zone where you can import one. But even imported ones are going for $40K. Like, they're not cheap at all.
So going back to the whole nostalgia thing, I remember living in Southern Oregon, and there was a guy with an NSX that used to smoke in it, and it was a first-gen NSX, and he would... Whenever I would see him, you know, it's a small town driving around, okay? But he had this NSX, and at first I was stunned. I was like, oh my gosh, this dude's got an NSX. I want one so bad. And then I watched this dude smoke, and he's got two little dogs that were jumping around inside of it, and he would just sit in his NSX and chain smoke. And I just thought, wow, that car is going to be worthless. Little did I know, 20 years later that, no, it'd still be worth $30,000. Somebody's going to buy it.
Yeah, no, it'd be a bargain for somebody at 35. But no, I had a similar experience a couple years ago when I saw Audi R8 pulling the business that was next door to the one I worked in, and I was like, "Oh, that's a beautiful R8." Dude hops out and like a full size boxer dog, just slobber And like I could see dog hair in this thing from 100 feet away. And I was just like, there's a boxer in your Audi R. Like, if a Pomeranian jumped out, I'd be like, come on, man. But it's a Pomeranian. Like, how much damage can it do? A small, medium horse that's like known for drooling got out of his R8. Out of the driver's door from the passenger side. Like, it just shot across that. I was like, it means you're R8, but like, it just must mean nothing to you. Like, somebody just paid $80,000 for a Type R.
Imagine
there's no dogs riding in that car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That dude paid a lot more than that for an R8. I mean, I love my dog too, but if I have an R8, it ain't riding in an R8.
I think that's fair enough, except that, like you said, I mean, sometimes if money just doesn't mean anything to you, then, what's the difference, right?
I guess. I don't know.
Okay, going back to NSXs, though, I had pulled up a video special, and producer Nick, go ahead and pull that up for us. There you go. Yep. This is Kaiichi Tsuchiya setting a lap record at Tsukuba in his JGTC NSX, and I'm telling you, man, the sound is just outrageous.
Now, JCG, oh yeah, Japanese Grand Touring Championship. Yeah, Kaiichi Tsuchiya, the drift,
sound,
as you know him as the Drift King. I really love. I got sound.
You got sound?
I have sound. Yeah, no, this thing sounds amazing. Yeah, this is the iconic red NSX that if you were into cars when the first Fast and Furious came out, and you should know about this. Kaiichi Tsuchiya in his classic green racing suit and that beautiful candy apple green helmet. He's going for the lap record. Oh.
This thing sounds so good.
I mean, just sequential transmissions. He just comes in that corner. You see him just double bump that.
Watching him just work the feet. I like that they have the camera on the feet. Those listening on the podcast, I implore you to go out and watch this video, because watching his footwork is just, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, the dude's a race car driver / athlete at this point. And just using every inch of that track. Every inch.
And this is 2007. I don't think he was necessarily young at this point, was he?
Yeah, I don't know. Dude, it is hard to say. How old is he now? He's somewhere between 50 and 100. I can't tell. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Like, he's kind of that. He's older. He could be really old. I don't know.
51 3/4 seconds. I remember when we were younger, the lap times being broken over and over and over at Tsukuba. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, it was just a constant battle. Right. All those tracks, it was always somebody was just beating the next lap time with some crazy, he's doing his championship burnout move. This is not done enough at races where the guy that wins just does a stupid burnout in his ultra expensive car right in front of the crowd.
That's why it's still worthwhile to watch the Australian Touring Series. It's because they'll do like a drift lap.
You know what I love most about this NSX? That should be noted. Two manufacturers. That Cal induction scoop that comes up in the middle of the car, up above the back window. Yeah, I mean, I just love that. It's like a shark fin X-wing thing going on. There should be more cars with that. I mean, I've seen in it, like the second Gym MR2s, there's some guys that have done some stuff like that, but really that and the NSX is the only vehicles I ever have seen that on, and it's awesome.
So I have a question for you, Coy.
Yeah.
It's got a snorkel on it, right?
Technically, yeah.
So is that an overland vehicle?
I think so. I think he's technically an overlander.
Well, because he could do pretty well in like a parking lot, right?
Well, yeah, all the mall meets, he'd actually probably draw a crowd.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if he got a rooftop 10 on there, for sure, if he put a rooftop 10 on his Japanese Grand Touring Championship car, for sure would be an overlander that would draw a big crowd.
Maybe like an axe on the rear wing.
On the rear wing, if he did one of those crazy beaver shovels that are like a shark tooth shovel thing that are super expensive, and I have no idea why people buy those. Put one of those on the wing. Yeah.
So would you still need one of those Widowmaker jacks for that, you think?
Actually, that's probably one of the only jacks that can fit underneath that. But yeah, just a high lift jack. I see no reason why you wouldn't put a high lift jack. I'd probably off the hood pins up front. across there for sure. That way, if you get an accident, there's definitely coming through the windshield.
Oh yeah. And you have to kind of position it correctly too, because it's right-hand drive.
Yeah, no, I definitely have some shear bolt action going on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I like that. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but man, the K-Series motors, they're going in everything these days.
I have noticed that. In fact, I've been calling them mini LSs, which is confusing for some people because they think I'm talking about actual like B18 LS. So it's not. It's kind of a working thing, but I'm getting there.
What have you seen the K-swapped in?
They're super popular to put in actually the MR2 Spiders. Right now, there's kits for that left and right.
Oh yeah, lots of those.
I totally understand that. I'm seeing them, a lot of them going in the lease as well because basically same kit. And
well, let's ask
easy power.
Let's ask Ethan here. You go ahead and phone him up.
We're phoning Ethan up. Is his car a K swap? Or you already told me it wasn't. Never mind. I've seen some K swaps and some other off-brand stuff.
Hey Andy, how you doing?
Ethan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm hanging in there, bud.
I wish we were meeting under better circumstances, my man.
I do too. I'd actually really like to be sitting down face to face with you, sharing a cold IPA to have this conversation. You know.
Oh, you're an IPA man, huh?
Oh, of course. Is there anything better?
Ethan is great. Almost everything's better than the IPA, man. Come on. They're so better. So better.
Excuse you, sir. The best for the best here. You say Corey, correct?
Koi, like the fish.
And Coy, did you know that Ethan works at a brewer down there?
Oh, you work...
I work at a Bricktown Brewing in Medford, Oregon. I'm not personally the brewer, but we make some good beer and some great food. I'm a little more in charge of the food end of the situation, but I drink the hell out of their beer.
Yeah, that's why we get along. It's the food side.
So before we get into your, it's a good story, but I mean bad for you.
Yeah.
And just I want to say I have had a car that was removed from my ownership in a similar way, so I feel a lot of your pain. But my car wasn't nearly as nice as yours, but it was still. I feel your pain.
I appreciate that. It's not about how nice the car was or not. It's about ultimately having something taken from you that you had worked for, you owned. It got you around in life and.
Yeah, no, it's
people who do that, man, they deserve to rot. I'm sorry.
I cannot explain to people the way what it feels like once you realize it was like that moment that you're like, wow, it's not where I parked it. I parked it right here.
My heart
Did a buddy
stopped,
take it?
literally.
And you look around and then you're like, it was stolen. Like, really? Like, yeah, no, it's a horrible feeling.
It's a hard feeling to describe. It honestly took me I don't know, a good 15 or 20 seconds of, standing there looking in circles until it fully set in. Yeah, I did park here. This is not a dream, and it is gone.
Yeah, no, it's you have to experience it to do the thing where you don't believe your own brain for, 15 to 30 seconds. Yeah.
Well, and man, having so much work put into it as well. I mean, Coy and I have never actually had one of our race cars stolen. And so this is a very unique.
I hope you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you're not just choked up right now.
I'm holding it back.
So living in Medford,
I'm really numb right now. So you guys actually caught me at a good time because I was over there all day salvaging what I could off of it. So it's
see, I didn't want to ask.
My memory.
I didn't want to ask about the part out, but. I mean, that's what we do.
I'm looking at that header.
What was the header?
Those wheels look pretty good. Are you interested in? That's actually my favorite.
I'm actually looking for a driver's seat. Yeah,
that is the best worst part of when somebody wrecks a car, or in this case has it stolen and wrecked for them. Is the dudes that are like, "Bro, I'm so sorry. How much for that wing?"
Oh, and I've been getting so much of that on social media. Just, oh man, I'm real sorry to hear about that. I'll give you $300 for your seats. Like, you know,
man.
like I don't like really take offense to it, but I've just been writing everyone back like, hey, give me a couple weeks to like assess the situation and decide what the hell I'm gonna do, and then if I do decide to sell the parts, I'll let you know, but don't ask me right now, like, in all politeness, you know.
Well, so Ethan, let's roll this back a little bit, my friend. You were at the gas station, right?
Yeah, I was at a 76 gas station near my work, halfway between my work and my house, and I've been working at the brewery for 2 years, and I go to that gas station probably 4 to 5 nights a week for the last 2 years to grab a pack of smokes and a 6-pack after work and go home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the attendants there know me by name. They know my car. You know, it wasn't like a place that I'd never been to before, some random station never filled up at. And unfortunately, that made me feel obviously a little more comfortable there than I apparently should have.
Most certainly. And then in just that space of time where you ran in, you got your cigarettes, you got your beer, and then you walked out and it was gone.
Yeah. And, you know, honestly, I had filled up some growlers at work that night. I even skipped the beer. I walked up to the counter and just bought cigarettes. I was in the store for probably a total of a minute to a minute and a half.
Man, that is so crazy how fast that happens. Coy and I were just talking about how we had a buddy in Salem that had some worn down keys that could open just about any Honda, but we didn't remember if it could start them or not, you know. Do you think that it was someone with like a bump key or a Honda, one of those dealer master keys?
Well, to all the people who are listening to this, you know, I've been getting the hate and I'm ready for the hate, but I'm not scared to admit the truth. I parked right out in front of the door of that place and I left my keys in the car, walked inside, bought cigarettes.
Yeah.
I 100% wasn't even like, but I'd also done this hundreds of times before.
Right.
You know, it's just,
it comes back to
I
that
was
comfort.
too comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, I was comfortable at that place. You know, I walked inside. I didn't even tell the nice lady at the register what I wanted. She saw me walk in, turned around, pulled them off the shelf, had them on the counter waiting for me. You know, it was a regular there.
So here's a most painful question. Insured?
It was insured, but I just had a liability. Not reading the fine print, I wasn't aware that theft wasn't covered in that.
That was the same with my car. Now, luckily, I only had liability, so if he wrecked into anybody, it was covered. Was basically what they told me. Wow,
and he did.
I should have been more educated on the insurance part of it.
That story just now, it went from bad to worse. That's because now this is just all on your dime, and I'm assuming whoever wrecked this, that guy's technically on the hook for this. But with the chances of you seeing that money, I gotta assume it's low zeros, right?
If you're talking about me taking him to a small like civil claim court and suing him, I've been told by multiple sheriffs and deputies here that yes, I could, but what are you ultimately going to sue a tweaker for?
Yeah.
You know, their bag they have in their back pocket. He would have to have a job to be able to be sent to collections.
Yeah.
That's not saying that I'm not going to try. I mean, I'm going to hit this guy with everything he has. And even if, 10 years from now, he finally does get his shit together and get a job at a McDonald's or something, the collections are going to hit him,
Good. Like, I mean, this guy's a piece of crap, honestly, but hopefully he does get his life together at some point, but he does need to make up for things like this that he's done. Like, I mean, that's no excuse. So good.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Have either of you seen the most recent post I made about him?
I haven't.
Okay, so just for you guys and to all the listeners out there, and this is a little hard to say, his name is Paul Folk, F-O-L-K. He was flown up to the Portland hospital in critical care after the wreck. and he somehow was able to walk out of the hospital. I got a message from someone 24 hours ago that he was seen in Grants Pass, and I got a call from the Grants Pass Sheriff's Office that they're looking for him. He is a fugitive at large in the Southern Oregon Grants Pass area. Anyone who's listening to this, yet again, his name is Paul Folk. You can go to my Facebook page, Ethan Dsquad. I have his mug shots up.
We popped it up on the green screen.
If you see him, hear anything, please call the local authorities and get this guy taken down.
Yeah.
Because that's just another, kick in the nuts to me. Is not only am I getting nothing out of this, the guy was able to walk out of the hospital and he's not even in jail right now. He's walking around a free man.
So that's
not okay.
This guy, we popped it up on the green screen for those that are on the live feed. He wrecked your car, was flown from Medford, Grants Pass area to Portland.
Grants Pass area, yes.
So he was pretty injured, I'm guessing, since they flew him up there.
He was unconscious, pulled out of the car in a stretcher, and I personally witnessed that. I was at the wreck about 10 minutes after it happened because I had been following the police chase, keeping a couple miles behind all afternoon myself in my truck. Like I was right there behind him. I even pulled over on the side of the road and sat with one of the local state troopers here and listened to the chase on the radio for about 30 minutes until they called it off. And I got back in my truck and started heading back up north on the freeway. So I was personally there at the wreck. I personally saw him get drug out of my car unconscious on the stretcher. It was
and then they flew him to Portland, and then they cleared him and just let him go. Or did he do an escape maneuver?
From what the sheriff had told me, he cleared himself and walked out.
He just woke up and said, "Don't touch me," and left. Wow.
Yeah. And when he was in the hospital here in Grants Pass, it was in their jurisdiction, so they could have watch over him. When he got flown to Portland, it was out of their jurisdiction. And from my understanding, he was not being supervised and checked himself out.
Screwy. That is ridiculous.
So we're kind of jumping back and forth. Your car got stolen. You walked outside, realized it wasn't idling right in front of the door where you left it, I'm assuming.
When I walked outside, I saw the taillights of it and heard it going up the road. I physically got to see it leave. Yeah.
Oh, that would make me so angry.
I stood there staring around. Wait, my car's not here. Did I park here? I swear I parked here. This is where I park every time. It's right outside the front door. And then I hear this wolf, and I turn around and I see my headlights going over the overpass to the freeway. It's like, oh, well. Walk back inside. Give me your phone. I'm calling 911.
And he lost the police something like 3 times, right?
Confirmed 2. I had heard 3. I am acquaintances with, ironically enough, the highway patrolman or state trooper that ended up spiking the car. His name's Corey. I'm not going to say his last name out of respect for him. I don't know if he wants his name out there or not.
Sure,
but
yeah.
My friends will know whom I'm talking about. He's the one who spiked my car. He's the one who told me that they had to call off the pursuit. I believe he said 3 times. I know for a fact they called it off 2 times because I heard that on the radio when I was with one of the other officers there listening.
So let me ask you this, Ethan. Is it any consolation at all? I'm sure the answer is no, but to know that your car really was as fast as you thought it was?
Actually, the answer is yes. And I had too, when I was at the scene after they cleared him out and they allowed me to go to my car and look through stuff. The officer that I knew, Corey, complimented me on it. And another random officer whom I did not know, but he was just involved in the pursuit, came up and he goes, I don't know what the hell you did to this thing, but as soon as we got to the twisties, we couldn't touch it. We had to call it off. And so in some weird, sick, demented way, it actually is nice to know that I had built a machine that performed the way I intended it to. I never got to test that out myself. I wanted to take it to PIR this summer and go to the local autocrosses here in Medford. But
so had you ever gone?
Apparently it would have done great.
Had you ever made it to the little local track there?
The Jackson Motorsports Park.
Yeah, the Motorsports Park.
Yeah.
You been to that track?
I've been driving there since I was like 18 years old.
Oh man, I love that little track. I used to go down there for spring enduro and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun. Before this car, I had an FC RX-7 that I had built specifically for that track. It wasn't street legal in any way, shape, or form. Had a naturally aspirated, carbureted Bridgeport engine in it.
How long have you been going down there?
11,000 RPM. So I was 18, maybe 17.
How old are you now?
Just now 30.
Oh man, we had to have crossed paths there. I had a yellow.
I guarantee it.
I had a yellow S2000 that I used to run there.
I can picture a car.
Yeah.
Do you remember the red RX-7? It was a GT3 car. Terry Hinesley was the driver of it.
I don't remember that specifically, but I do remember being there and somebody had a Bridgeported rotary that was just nasty sounding, and me and some friends were just like, man, that sounds good. And I remember that sound, but I don't remember what it was in.
Bridgeported rotary was an all black second gen. That was me, and that was my car.
I mean, how many I guess there was probably a couple Bridgeports down there, but yeah.
Terry's was the other one. His car was red.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool cars out that you see at that track.
It's an awesome place.
There was a guy that had the like kit car kind of Lotus 7 looking thing, but it was made out of like Corvette parts. There was a Cobra. Some dude had
There's two guys down there that have kit car Cobras. I forget their name. They're brothers. Their cars are built almost identical. I think one's purple and one's red. They look identical though.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's a 260Z down there that's LS3 swapped.
There was a 260 or 240 that ran down there.
Yeah. So Ethan, what happened to that?
There's a little kit car down there. Sorry, what?
What happened to that black RX-7?
It's a cold, dark world we live in, boys. Are you guys?
We are sitting.
Are you guys familiar with the campfire that happened down in Paradise, California about 14 months ago?
Yes, yes.
So my father lived in Paradise, Magalia area. He owned a house and property and a garage down there. And I was in between houses. My car needed some work, and I towed it down to his house, put it in his garage, and was just like, hey, Pops, store this for me for a couple of years, going through some life changes, need to save up a couple grand and, do the engine back up on it, because Bridgeports don't last that long. It needed a touch-up. And it was in that garage last year when the campfire happened, and it, along with my father's entire property and the house that I was supposed to inherit, disappeared in flames. And 14 months later, this happened to my Integra. So, in the last year, 14 months, I'm out over 30 grand in race cars. It's just, the lovely world we live in, boys.
Yeah, that's rough. And, that's a huge span you have there. You have a Bridgeport RX-7 and then a Integra. Which,
I was just thinking that same thing.
You're a man of many loves.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
And if you guys pull up my Facebook page and scroll through my pictures, you will see some recent ones of what is left of the car. I have two up there specifically. And if you didn't know what an FCRX-7 looked like, you wouldn't be able to recognize it. It just looks like a pile of melted metal.
Right.
And I'm guessing that you didn't get any insurance out of that one either.
I didn't have it insured because it was stored at a house that was owned that how do you expect a fire to go through there and wipe an entire town
Well, I didn't know if home insurance would cover that.
Usually when they start having the natural disasters is when insurance companies are like, oh, by the way, none of that was covered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they got me with that was it was out of state. It was a bunch of crap that I don't want to get into. I have moved on from that. Now I'm dealing with the Integra.
Okay, so going back to the Integra, tell us what you had done to this thing.
Where do I start?
So it was a 94?
95.
95. And was it an LS?
It was a GSR.
Oh, it was a GSR.
And I bought it from a local guy here in Eagle Point. Paid a little much for the shell, but it was what I wanted, and it had what I wanted on it. He had the car was resprayed white. He did that actually for his high school senior project. He had the Type R wing on it, the side skirts, the front lip, the stupid little indicators in the fender, just all that weird little stuff.
Yeah.
The interior was clean, all black. The engine in it had a turbo kit on it, and they had smoked the rings on it. And they took the turbo kit off, put a stock manifold on it, and I paid $3,500 for essentially what I knew was the shell.
Mm-hmm.
I drove it home, smoking the highway up the entire way, and pulled it into the garage and parked it. And the next day, pulled the engine out, and I spent a little over 2 years building it, just paycheck by paycheck. I couldn't even honestly remember all the little things I've done to it, but it had Eagle rods, King race bearings, B16A pistons. It was bored 20 over, Bullet Motorsports, local here in Southern Oregon, decked the block, bored the block. They bored each cylinder per piston for that cylinder, and they, labeled the piston. So you have to put this in number 1. You have to put this in number 2. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The head work, I did all the porting and polishing on the head and skunk tube manifold myself. Bullet actually gave me a very good compliment on my port work, which, I took to heart. They said, seen a lot of people bring their self-ported stuff in and it looked like crap. And one of the guys actually kind of laughed, and he goes, "Oh, if you ever want to come here and work for us, you just come talk to me." And I'm like, I don't know if you're being serious or not, but I don't want to do this for a living. Mm-hmm. The whole valve train was the Skunk 2 Stage 2 cams, the Skunk 2 Alpha springs and titanium retainers, aftermarket cam gear, main pulley, silly little caps. I am a Skunk 2 fanboy and a DC fanboy, but I got this stupid little cap that goes over the VTEC solenoid that says Skunk 2 inside, and it was like $50 for just a little, a little decal that goes on the, solenoid.
That sounds like something that Coy and I would have done because, hey, listen, we're relatively the same age as you.
We've all been guilty of buying a JDM oil cap, you know what I mean?
Or an oil filter.
Yeah.
I've never bought the filter, but...
You've never bought one of the pink HKS oil filters?
I never have.
Wow.
I think I bought it like a Toda timing belt or something.
I remember that, yeah.
Clearly those are much better than, Borg or Wagner or something.
Yeah, Tomei, yeah.
I'll promote the Gates Racing blue timing belts, because even after everything that happened to that car and that wreck, that timing belt is still on there solid. Everything is in time, and because of that, my valve train is A-OK.
Nice.
Which, just, the head on there, the valves, the cam springs, $1,200, add it all up, and that timing belt held it all together.
And sorry, I didn't know if you mentioned this or not. Was this an all-motor build, or was this a turbo build?
All motor.
Okay. What kind of compression?
I was pulling 9,500 RPMs is where I had the limiter set at, but the cams, in theory, should have made power to 10,500 Rs.
Wow.
I never pushed the engine that high, but I set the limiter at 9,500, and she would pull there without slowing down. In a lot of cars, you'll get to a little before red line, like last 1,000 RPM, you can feel like, I should probably shift. It's not really pulling anymore. It's not making power. All the way to 9,500, this thing was setting you back in your fucking seat. It was fun.
Were you using like a chipped P28, or did you have an EMS?
Chip P28.
Yep. Good way to go. Listen, hey, it runs off of a vacuum manifold pressure sensor, right, Coy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, I had future thoughts, for that. I wanted to do a full standalone on it in the future and take it up to like Eugene or Portland and actually throw it down. And, it's no point thinking about it now, but the Chip P28 was my immediate go-to.
yeah.
And, hey, there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, I've seen some high horsepower builds run off of those.
And so what compression were you running on that motor?
With the pistons and the headwork that were done, it should have been around 11.5 to 12 to 1.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're talking about
the pistons themselves were 11.5, and I had, I think, 5 thousandths taken off the head and like 3 thousandths off the block. So
yeah, that's pushing it on
like 11.7,
And I'm assuming we're north of 200 horsepower at this point.
Easily.
Yeah.
The factory GSR engines, I think, were 180, 190.
Yeah. I would think you'd be in the 230 range or something, just a wild guess, but yeah.
I was, never had it thrown down on the dyno, but my goal was 250.
Mm-hmm.
And with, full exhaust, skunk tube manifold, it had a 70 millimeter throttle body on it. The way it felt, I'm pretty sure I hit my mark at 250.
I think so, yeah.
I'm very confident of it.
It's definitely possible. That's not crazy for what it sounds like your build is. So,
and obviously by how much it did on the streets. I mean,
well, what kind of suspension did you have done? Obviously, there was some work done there too.
Yeah, that's why I've gotten a lot of nasty messages from people. Oh, you didn't have 15K in that car. You would have had a nicer engine. It's like, well, I had 5 or 6 in the engine. You're not
anybody who's bought a GSR engine, yeah.
Well, not just that, the machine work. I mean, you must have had $3,000 in the
there
machine.
were $600. The machine work, like you said too, because I had the block done, the valves redone, lapped. Anyway, suspension, K-Sport, control coilovers. I'm a big K-Sport fan. They've never done me wrong in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I ran them on my RX-7, ran them on the Integra. A lot of my friends in the drift scene run them. I feel they're solid. I had True Heart upper control arms in the front and True Heart rear subframe bracing in the back. An aftermarket block rear sway bar, and in the back I had Skunk 2 upper and lower control arms. Every bushing in that car was energy suspension, red polyurethane bushings, front to back, down to the bushings on the shifter linkage. I even pulled the steering rack off from the frame and put energy suspension bushings in between the steering rack and the frame.
And what a difference that makes, by the way.
Oh, my Lord, yes.
Yeah. So everything that's happened's horrible. So, like, this is a sad story, and I hate to go to sleep on this note, honestly. But what are we doing moving forward here? Like, are you going to...
Oh, yeah, we've got some options here.
Find some new stuff?
Producer Nick is going to go ahead and pull up your fundraiser, Ethan.
Okay, so what I'm trying to do going ahead is I started today stripping what I could out of the car. All the rear suspension looked great. I got my seats out. I'm probably going to end up selling those because I think they're tainted. The driver one still has some of Homeboy's blood on it, so I'm probably going to ditch the seats. But got the engine out. Head looks good. I'm going to rip it apart, and, if I can salvage the rods, pistons, all that, what I would like to do is get another GSR, and put my internals in there, do a rebuild.
Oh, you think that the engine is like the block is bad?
The only reason that I say the block is bad is the driver's side motor mount by the front strut tower. The block was hanging and the mount was still attached to the frame, and a part of my block where the mount screws into the block was hanging on there.
Mm-hmm.
The block itself is like whole, but I would have to, I don't even know if it could be done, but like re-weld and re-tap those engine mount holes on the side. So I'm just going to say that the block is
you're
internally okay, externally not.
Yeah.
That sucks. Yeah.
That's Well, I shouldn't say
same with the
unexpected.
transmission. You know, the transmission's all together, but where the transmission mount bolts to it, the transmission mount was on the frame, but the transmission was disconnected, and the bolts are just sitting there with chunks of aluminum stuck to them. You know,
That's crazy.
Well, I had solid motor mounts in the entire thing, so obviously they did their job too. It's
maybe a little too solid.
Aluminum, I guess so. Well, this energy suspension, I mean, props to them.
Yeah, no,
their motor mount inserts literally rip the aluminum threads right out of my block and transmission, but the energy suspension mounts I have are still in great condition.
I hope you take a photo of that and send it to them. Be like, your mounts are awesome.
I should. Hey, you guys should send me some more bushings, because half the ones on here I'm not being able to recover.
That's right. Hey, speaking of, my friend, so we've got your fundraiser hooked up here. We're going to go ahead and share this out all this coming week on 3BQ. We want to really help pump that up, see if we can't get you some more donations. We're going to be
please and thank you.
Off air. I'm going to go ahead and get your address. We're going to send you out some 3BQ goodies, and you know, we're going to help you get back on your feet, because this is just ridiculous. I mean, nobody should have to go through this. No car enthusiast should have to go through this. And you know, listen, you could feed a kid in some third world country for a cup of coffee a day, or you could send $5 to Ethan and help him get his next car on the road.
Yeah, he's had a rough year.
You know, I would appreciate it, guys. I'm trying just to look for another, you know, nice clean shell that is a GSR shell, and I can take that engine out of it and put my internals in it, my head back on it, and just start anew. You know, I'm not going to let this kill my dream, and I promise you guys, whether I have help or not, give me another year. I'm going to have another clean, very clean GSR Integra.
You're gonna do another GSR?
I'm gonna do it. I have thousands of dollars of parts that I just pulled off my car that are now in my storage unit. I'm gonna do it. You know,
that's one of the nice things about Hondas is the GSR parts here. You can put on a EG Civic, an EG Hatch, probably a couple of the older Civics. I mean,
correct.
They're such Legos. I mean, in the Honda world, and I would say you should look up an old Best Motoring video that has a CRX. I want to say Andy is a Hassport.
Yeah.
The old Hassport.
That was
CRX.
when they brought the Best Motoring to the United States.
No, I'm talking about the box flare one. That was like scary fast.
Well, that wouldn't have been, because Best Motoring, they did the American series, and there was definitely a Hassport CRX on there.
Maybe it wasn't a Hassport. I'm trying to think of the brand. Just look up CRX box flares sometimes.
Yeah.
And think about it.
You'll get to see Kaiichi Tsuchiya be like, oh, it's too fast.
Yeah, anytime a race car driver starts talking about something being too fast.
I know who you speak of. Like I don't know the car.
It's like when you see a high school kid throw a football and the guy catches, it's like you're throwing it too hard. You're like, oh boy. That dude's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And Ethan, you're going to go somewhere too, my friend. Again, we're really sorry that this happened to you. I really do appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us. And I tell you what, man, we want to help get you back on your feet. Let people know one more time, like if they want to find your fundraiser, or if they just want to, talk to you, is there any place that they can contact you?
My social media, Facebook account, Ethan Dsquad. I've gotten thousands of messages and friends requests on there. That's contact me through that. Not quite ballsy enough to release my phone number up on the air, but at this point, what do I have to lose? Social media would be great. I mean, any help and support's appreciated. I don't want to let what this person did to me kill my dream and, stop me from moving forward. Like I said earlier, I want to get another Integra. I am prone to those cars. I like them. I like their body style. I have a lot of the suspension and the engine left. I just need a nice clean shell and, let's get the ball rolling again.
Let's get on it, folks. Try to help him out in any way you can. We're definitely going to help you out. And one more time, man, I really do appreciate you giving us some time, giving us a shout, and we want nothing but the best for you.
Well, I appreciate you guys reaching out to me. I mean, there's honestly been so many positive blessings that have come from all this, and that's what's keeping me moving and driving forward. You know, I've had the car rolling around town here for a while. People have seen it, taken pictures of it, commented about it, but I've never been invited to any kind of interview or any kind of talk show. Even the local news here in Medford even reached out to me about this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate that what had to happen, happened for this, but you guys are keeping me going, and I'm looking at the positive on that,
Yeah. Listen, man, the best artists are never recognized in life, only after death, and that's probably, where your Integra is at this point.
That's what happened to this car. I mean, I've had people from Australia and the United Kingdom reach out to me and donate and tell me, I'm sorry that this happened, keep moving forward. I was like, wait, this went overseas?
Oh, people, hey, listen, this is one of those things where we're all afraid of it happening. So to see it happen to you and see how you react, it's a big deal, man, and that's why we invited you on. It is time for us to wrap up, so I'm going to have to let you go, but seriously, thank you, and we'll talk again real soon, all right?
I hope so, and as this keeps going forward, and feel free to give me a call again. I'll let you guys know how the progress is going.
Yeah, we're gonna.
But I am gonna rebuild.
We're gonna get an update from you.
Oh yeah.
In a year, we're gonna hit bases with you again for sure.
Oh yeah.
Please do. You have my number.
Fantastic, buddy. Thanks so much.
Awesome. I appreciate it, boys. You enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Thanks, Ethan.
And there he goes.
I haven't been in his shoes, but not shoes that big. Like
not quite those shoes, eh?
I had a Jetta stolen, not my race car. Like it sucked, but that is some next level suck. And then on top of losing a race car to the campfire fire, which I have to say, the campfire, the fire, you name the fire campfire. It's wildly confusing and seems like a bad name for a fire.
Yeah, campfire fire.
Yeah. It's like Hurricane Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the biggest hurricane storm. Like,
yeah. It's like if Prince was Prince.
Yeah, we need to get whoever's in charge of naming these things.
Yeah, Cher is not a person.
It's like when you see a creek that's named like Rocky Creek. You're like, come on, bro. Like that's all you could think of.
Right.
Get Rocky Creek, really?
Or like Spaghetti M&M.
Wait, what?
Yeah, spaghetti sweater M&M. Like it's just too on the nose,
Yeah. Okay. No, serious moment though. Serious. I have to talk to you about paper straws before we wrap this show up.
One last rant before we go, huh?
I've been holding this in this whole time. On my way here, I stopped and got gas, and there's a freaking Arby's at the truck stop I got gas at, and they have a Jamocha milkshake. It is delicious. And probably half the times when I come over here to do a show, I get one. I've had a plastic straw until today. And I've had paper straws when you get your fountain drink before, and I was like, this is dumb, but whatever. I have no issues with this paper straw in my 44-ounce Dr. Pepper.
Right.
No issues. And then I had it in my milkshake, and I don't know what it is about the milkshake. You have to suck harder on it, I think, so it immediately starts flattening and like sucking in all the sea turtles. I hope they get more straws up their nose. I almost killed 6 people trying to drink a milkshake. The simple act of enjoying a milkshake while driving a mechanical vehicle, like that is like a primitive thing. Have a shake, you're driving, you're kicked back, you're drinking a freaking milkshake, except for my straw collapses every 2 seconds. I'm driving with my knees. I pull my pocket knife out. I'm trying to cut the collapsed top piece of my freaking paper straw off. I almost hit the guy next to me. There could have been kids in that car.
Yeah.
I don't know. There could have been kids in my car. I know there wasn't, but still. And I had a knife out. If I wrecked, I probably would have stabbed myself. I have a huge pocket knife, so I almost certainly would have died.
Is it really worth the sea turtles?
At this point, I'm ready to go kill a sea turtle.
Sure.
Like, it's my birthright at this point.
Yeah, it is. And I hate to say this, but, the thing that's sea turtles are just so economical because when you cook them, you now have a bowl to eat it out of. You know what I mean? It's like they're built for eating.
I've seen like real sea turtles, and they're grand. They're amazing, majestic. They're cool.
Yeah, but what other animal comes in its own vessel that you can both cook it in and eat it out of?
Shrimp, crab, snails.
Yeah, fair point. All right, never mind.
Yeah. Anyways,
you're not going to eat cereal out of a crawfish later on. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, if we're eating that animal out of its own bowl, that's where I was going with. A crab doesn't make a very good bowl for stuff like I'm not going to have vanilla
after
pudding.
It's been eaten.
Yeah, like I will eat the crab out of the shell, but I'm not going to have my lobster shell later and just have some. Hey, pass the ice cream. Oh, give me the lobster. No, I get what you're saying there.
Fill it like a cannoli.
Yeah. Human. I mean, if we're going that human skull. I mean,
yeah.
Like I know you have a couple of those for your top shelf.
You got the optical nerves, though. That's the problem. I was having this conversation with my wife the other day. We were talking about drinking wine out of the skull of your enemies, and she was like, "Yeah, it's just optical nerves. That's the problem."
Because then it leaves 2 holes in it. Yeah,
so you got to pack it with mud. If we're going primitive, if we're not going primitive, then just a little plaster of Paris and then epoxy the inside, and you're good to go.
It's true. I assumed you just filed it down so it was a smaller bowl.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Here's the thing is I'm not really looking to drink out of somebody's skull because when the police come over to my house for whatever reason, like the accident that we had, okay, so let's put this scenario out there. I'm home trying to recover after this accident that we had 3 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cops come over. They're just trying to be, they're bringing us good news. Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, we have this woman's insurance information, and now you get to, have all of your medical bills covered and stuff like that. He's bringing good news.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got this human skull that's probably fresh. I don't know, might even have a little bit of flesh left on it because I don't have fire ants to stick the thing into. And I'm drinking my bourbon out of it at 9 a.m. How does that make me look? Besides a badass.
Well, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told you this small story, but thanks to you, I almost got arrested once. Remember you used to have a hookah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'd hit that thing, totally legal. It's called hashish. It's a combination of molasses and I'm guessing tobacco leaves.
Not hashish, shisha.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a totally legal thing.
Yeah.
And you and me shared a house together. And oftentimes we'd set that thing on a stool in front of the couch and we'd set it there. It had 2 pipes and then we'd puff on it for a while.
Don't forget Handsome Chris too.
Other friends. It was an enjoyable community.
Yeah, it was
thing.
A communal thing.
Yeah, it was one time I had I think it was my vehicle was parked across the street from there with tags had expired. And an officer knocked on the door and I opened it. And he was letting me know the tags have expired. And I'm trying to look at him in the eyes, and his eyes are looking behind me a lot.
Yeah.
And then I kind of look back at him, and there's this giant, what appears to be a massive bong, 4.5 feet away. There's a lot of silence on my part, and not very eye contact. Thank you, and a door close. It's probably about like that. Is how the skull thing would go.
Yeah. Did he ask about it, though?
No, I didn't give him a chance.
Okay, no, well, then how close were you to getting arrested then?
Probably about 2 more seconds the door open.
Please, don't be a baby. If I had $1 for every time you almost got me arrested.
You'd have $36, Andy. It's not even that much money. Stop blowing things out of proportion.
I do remember a couple of our friends, matter of fact, okay, no names now, but we had this, he wasn't a friend, but he was kind of a hang-around of another guy that we knew, and he was a real douchebag, and he always wanted to kind of one-up us. And, gosh, I forget what he drove. It doesn't matter. I'm not getting into details. Anyways, he came over to our house one day, and, we hadn't invited him. This other person had invited him, and I was like, okay, great. Now this dude's in here. And we had the hookahs out. We had like 2 or 3 at that point, I think, because Chris had brought his. We had ours. Somebody else had one, and we were sitting around. We were watching car videos. We were drinking. We were smoking the hookahs. And this dude took a hookah of his own. Do you remember?
I remember a couple guys puffed on it, and it was like a flavor, and everybody's like, yeah, no, I don't like the peach, whatever, apple peach. I'm going to go hit the raspberry over here. And he's like, oh, I love this. And just one giant hit after giant hit.
Yeah, just sat there and just over and over and over for, I mean, I don't know, half an hour.
Yeah, and I don't know. Every hit of those is like one whole cigarette. Like they have a ton. I don't know if tar wise, but like nicotine wise.
Yeah, nicotine wise.
A lot of nicotine.
Yeah.
And there's this thing called nicotine poisoning, as it turns out.
Nick-sick.
A lot like alcohol poisoning, except for you're not drunk, you're just puking.
Yeah. He turned into a garden sprinkler.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened twice at our house, actually.
It did, yeah. Actually, it was a friend of ours that we liked, and then another person that we didn't like. But there was quite a bit of enjoyment out of watching that dude that was just like, you guys can't finish this, I'll finish it for you.
Yeah. And I remember there were warnings, too, like, hey, bro, you know, you might hit, that's a lot of nicotine, everybody take it easy. You know, stuff like that. It's like, no, I'm fine, bro.
Yeah. Whenever people know more than you.
And then somebody's like, it's hot. It's really hot in here. I'm going to stand outside for a while, bro. Yeah. Oh, is it hot in here? Oh, that's weird. 4 minutes later, you know, you want some bread? No, I'm good, bro. I think I had some bad McDonald's.
I mean, I might need a change of pants.
Need some water, bro? No.
The flowers in our garden bed never looked better.
Blood vessels in your eyes are supposed to look broken like that. You need a ride or anything? You want to call somebody?
Oh, man, good times. I'd forgotten about those days, but yes, yeah, that was such a shame. I got us booted out of that house because I couldn't get that car off of the jack stands that was in front of the house. That was a huge mistake on my part. But
well, technically, they never said we couldn't.
This is true. So little live and learn.
That's on them, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I was thinking about that the other day. Speaking of that little house that we used to live in, you know, I strictly remember, you know, when you and I were doing a lot of street racing, that was a really weird time. Do you ever think about those days?
No, those were the best days. What do you mean? Like
they were, but man, just the stuff that happened was so bizarre. Like I was thinking about one night I was driving back from out late, you know, races somewhere, and I'm on Highway 34 and I'm headed back towards Staten, okay? And I pass underneath of the overpass. I can't remember which road it was. I think it was the Shaw-Almsville Road. There was an overpass there. Mm-hmm. And I remember distinctly seeing there was a car going over the overpass, and I don't even know why I saw it, but I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, you know? And I'm driving along, and I'm not going fast through there. You remember that stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so many cops through there all the time. But this was one of those weird, quiet nights. There wasn't anybody around. This car pulls down off of the off-ramp and zooms up beside me. It's loud. I think it was like a Lexus GS 430 or something like that. VIP, right? So big wheels, super slammed. Pulls up next to me, revs a couple times. And so I, you know, put it down into second gear. The guy's got his window down. He's giving me the signal, like, slow down. We slow down like 40 miles an hour. And then we go. And I don't know, we run it up to like 140. And then he just pulled off at the next exit, and I continued on home. It was times like that that were so bizarre to me.
That feels bizarre to you?
It doesn't feel bizarre to you, the adult Coy?
No, I'd do that right now. Like,
no, I know you would, but when's the last time it happened?
It's been, well, I mean, I haven't been running a race car in forever, but yeah, I mean, the part that feels bizarre to me was like, so I used to do this thing on that same stretch that you're talking about. It's a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes on one side, the other cable barrier in the middle, and it's pretty well patrolled, but it's busy during the day, but it's one of those highways at night, it's dead. Like there's a mile between cars, sometimes more. Like you can pull over and there just won't be cars for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I would just stop in the middle of the freeway and just start burning cookies, leave just giant circles of burnouts in it, and we'd just drive by for the next 3 weeks and laugh and laugh and laugh. Yeah. It was always so hilarious. I don't know why. Just like, a huge burnout here. Look at this. Like, yeah. Then I would go and where there was the freeway overpass, so I'd go under the underpass, during the middle of the day and start doing a cookie under the underpass until smoke started billowing out around underneath the underpass like it was on fire. I don't know why. I just thought that was hilarious.
I remember you getting a ticket for that one time, I think.
Yeah, I got unreasonable noise and careless driving.
Reasonable noise.
Turns out sometimes if you do enough of a burnout, it is unreasonably loud, as well as being a careless driver. So it's something to think about next time you're doing a burnout.
Oh, boy.
I almost got my brother a ticket. I was in the town we grew up in Scio, and I went down on the main street, and with a guy I knew was like, "Oh, you still have this S2000? Like, take me for a ride." And I just pulled it down the main street. And it was at night, and I just did 3 or 4 Brodies right in the middle of Main Street, but kind of not in place. I kind of went down the street spinning, so left that loop-de-loop-de-loop move, and then left and parked. And then my brother had known I'd done that, left the place we were at, and he had like an old Toyota pickup, and he like kind of opened his door and was looking out as he drove by. And a cop pulled out and was like, "Saw you checking out all those burnouts. You know anything about that?" He's like, "Did you do those?" And like, he started laughing because he's in like an '86 Toyota 4-drive, like beat up truck. He's like, "This?" The cop's like, "Oh, well, that's true."
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't sell me out though, so that was nice.
Oh, man.
But he did.
That's so funny.
Specifically got pulled over because of my burnouts.
Oh, man. Wow. We're going to have to do a show one of these days where we just talk about the stories of the old days. Get a few of our other racing buddies in here. You know that?
Yeah, we need to get Crazy or Handsome Chris in here.
Oh, that's never going to happen.
Someday he'll do it.
We didn't even get a chance to talk about it last week. Our guest had actually purchased your S2000 from you.
Oh, yeah, Devin.
Yeah.
Armored lighting owner. Yeah, he actually bought my old race car.
Yeah, so the next time he's in, we'll have to talk about that. And the next time that we do the show, we're going to have to talk about a lot of different things. Coy? I think it's about time to wrap this thing up.
It is.
I want to thank everybody for watching the live stream. I want to thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. I want to thank you for telling a friend. You really are what keeps us going here. And make sure to come on over to the Facebook page and answer that question. What was it again, Coy?
Who was the first American driver to formally drive a Honda racing team?
Yeah, a Honda race car. It's one race car. It's one guy, and the hint is Tokyo Joe, which I'm trying to decide if that's racist or not.
Yeah, probably.
Just a little bit.
Medium. The right amount, I think, though.
Sure.
Like it's a complimentary amount of racism.
Yeah. You can still Google search it, so it can't be that bad, right?
I guess.
Well, my friend, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you.
Cheers.
Producer Nick, thank you. And intern Jake, we wish him the best. Hope that he starts feeling better. Want to thank one more time Ethan Dsquad for coming on and talking about his car and what's going on there. Make sure to head over to his Facebook page and check out his fundraiser, you guys. He really needs it, and we would appreciate it from us. So thank you so much. And one more time for Coy, producer Nick, and Jake the intern, and Ethan, this is Andy. We will see you next time.